Why nobody cares about your art. When I say care, I mean not only care, but why someone doesn't listen/see it. I'm an artist myself, and through the years of my journey as one, I've had obstacles both external and internal that I both was and wasn't aware of, that continue to hold me back from what I thought I deserved and from my potential. You there, you probably are my shoes, if not will be, if not have already been. Either way, together we can hit some of these walls, if not all. I've been a song artist for around 3 years now, and I've thrown over 100+ songs, collaborations, and some views, no views, bad mixes and bad recordings, and a whole lot of inconsistencies and inconveniences. I decided to finally find out why I'm not getting more views, better songs, barely any collaborations, and feeling like I'm not where I should be. These were the answers and solutions to me and your problems. Number one, you don't care enough. Now, though yes, you care because you have that passion, you're like, whatever you're doing, of course you're doing it because you care. But how much do you really care about like the why, the how, and when you're doing it? Because when it comes to drawing and painting those images and making that music and creating those designs, it's like, why do we do these things? It's important to know why. Is it a hobby, an aspiring career/business, or is it an inconsistent interest? Why do you do it and what do you want it to be? How are you doing it? And do you care about the process and the progression? Yeah, you get better by repetition, but when you really practice something with that intention and focus and intent, you're gonna improve faster and better than if you simply just did it. Like you can record a song for a whole year, right? You can record songs all year and barely get better at it by the end. But if you were every time as you recorded it, right? You really applied the tips and information, you're gonna learn it faster and get better at it and be at a higher stage than the person that simply just records. I know this from experience. Like I spent a whole 2 years just recording. My mixes were barely getting any better. I was just recording because I just wanted to put out music, right? And not until like last year, and I actually was like, oh, I want to actually stop having bad mixes. Every time I recorded and I got those, and I applied those tips and advices and information about what to do, I got a heck of a lot better at mixing than those 2 years. And I was like, wow, like I really wasted that time. I could have been at a farther stage right now if I did that. Another thing is like, when are you doing it? Because when something takes time to achieve, it will be affected by how well you manage your time. This is extreme, right? But let's say if you're recording a song, you decide to do it at the end of the day, but at the same time, you spend a whole day talking and shouting, and you was drinking milk and dairy or sweets and stuff like that, right? So now your throat is clogged or is unclear, and then you're trying to sing. You're gonna be doing it at a negative time. Even though you made the time, you created the space for it to do it. Now, even at that time, is not necessarily like a good one, or it's not as helpful, or not even like the best one. And the way to measure if something is a bad time to do something is seeing just how helpful the parameters or the things in the situation are for the outcome. So let's say if you're about to sing, right? Of course you want to sing as good as you can. You want the song to come out as good as it can be. Right? Now you sing, but your voice is worn out and it's not clear. How much will that help you sing well? Which means your recording won't be well. Which means that part of the song that makes the song overall good won't be well. And when you don't care enough, it can affect you to dare enough, to be challenged, to perform an action, especially when, like it's kind of like your proof of courage. You're uncomfortable doing it. Dared him to jump, right? You're dared to confront boldly, to defy, dared to hit the subscribe button. How will you put yourself in the uncomfortable situation, which is needed to grow and succeed, if you don't dare to do it? Because you gotta kind of like defy yourself when you do these newer things, because your old you wouldn't do that or didn't do that. So when you're not used to something, you're uncomfortable, when it's a challenge, the bold thing to do is to really challenge yourself and not wait for the challenge. Because what I learned is like, when you seek a challenge, the challenge doesn't stay an enemy. It becomes more of a tool and a building block for your journey. Post that content, learn that skill, talk to that person, sing that song, because if you don't put yourself out there, then no one's gonna see you. It took me way too long to really do, but one thing I learned is like, when people will see you when you perform to be seen, almost like moths to a flame almost. Like when someone shines so bright, you just can't help but be intrigued by the energy. When I see people on social media or like an event on the street, right? It's those people who put themselves in front of people that get seen. I know it sounds like, well, yeah, right? But it took me such a while to really, acknowledge that. Even though it was so simple, like it's simple, but it's not easy. Because especially, I grew up like really shy and timid and had, that stage fright due to that too. So even though it was like, yeah, go in front of people, it was still hard, So I get it. So really seek that challenge, really just put yourself out there. Because especially after you do it, after time, once you get past it, you're going to be able to, it's not going to be as hard as it is. Even, it's like kind of like working out, like getting to start working out is hard, but then after you start doing it, after some time passes, you just do it, Even if it is still hard after that sometimes, you still do it. But even then, like, one important thing too is like putting yourself in a good place for that. Put yourself in a good place as well. Go to a good place. Use that, a popular social media. Go to a populated park. Join the Discord or online community. It's something that I'm like slowly getting into, Or heck, even try to land a gig. Just try, even if it doesn't work. An extreme example, right? But let's say you go to a random empty lot and you sing your heart out, or paint. Let's say you're painting, right? Or you're designing and you're just sitting there. It's least likely that anyone will see or care because anybody would even be around to notice, Because even if you put yourself out there, you are on the like outside, you're out, you still location is still important because mattering on the traffic or flow of people that goes through that, still gonna determine on if you're really seen or not. And I know it sounds like, oh yeah, well duh, right? But it took me a while to really come to that, to really acknowledge it, really be like, okay, that's what needs to be done. I've seen a lot of people also too who also don't do that. Maybe you do it, right? And I'm glad if you do, but for those who don't, for us who are having a hard time with it, it's just something that we gotta be repeated about, or really hear and whatnot. So like search up and seek these populated places that people can see you at. It's gonna feel uncomfortable. It is. I'm still, even when it comes to like this video right here, right? Like it might seem chill, but I don't know. It's simple, but sometimes it's not that easy. I don't know. But just do it anyways. If it's uncomfortable, just do it anyway. Get past the first stage and you'll thank yourself later. And even with that, remember though, that there'll be people who don't like it still. There's gonna always be someone who like, it's not that someone who doesn't like it is a hater, right? There's a difference between someone who doesn't like it and it's just like, hey, not me. And there's someone who's like, hey, that's legit, like on you. You know what I mean? But there's always gonna be someone who's not even a hater. They just won't take interest or really enjoy whatever it is you're doing. That's fine. We all have reasons for why we don't like or do things, and of course some reasons are better than others, but unless you're gonna really spend time trying to convince, if anything, just feed those who are already enjoying it, and then maybe later you could worry about the ones who don't like it. But even then, like, as you do more and people spread the word, word of mouth, and even people who don't like it at one point could like it another. Like I've not liked certain songs, or not even like certain people, but didn't really care. But then down the road, after hearing it so much, I check it out. Maybe I hear another song later and I'm like, oh, like, I don't know why I didn't like it. So, just don't even focus on like, trying to appease everybody, because, you know, I tried that and nah. You know, like, of course you want as many people to like it as possible. And I feel you on that. You know, and it sucks when someone doesn't really care or enjoy it as much as you, or, you know, you're sharing it, you want people to listen, and some don't. But you gotta just accept, or you gotta really accept it, or you're gonna be beating yourself up. I've beaten myself over it so many times of like, they don't care. But it's like, some people aren't gonna like it. You need to put yourself out there anyways. How good are you putting yourself out there? And are you even really challenging yourself? And how much do you really even care? You know, that's what you gotta really focus on first when it comes to artistry. Heck, I guess this could even apply to many just other things in general. Like, and even then, like, down the road, after you put, you know, really done that care, done the dare, put yourself out there. Oh, that was a bar. Nah, I'm gonna stop. Put yourself in those good places, in those better places, and accepting that, you know, some people aren't gonna like it, and just really focusing on ones that do and driving things up and blah, blah, blah. When you're successful, more people are gonna care about it anyways. So that's one thing I learned is like, when you're not successful or you're not up there now, some people aren't gonna really care. But when you get to that point,